Hello and welcome back to your Asian Buddy YouTube channel here. As promised in my previous video, today I'll be talking about how mortgage is calculated, and let's dive into this. So in here, let's say if you borrow a loan amount of mortgage loan amount of $1 million with an interest rate of 6.34%, and the reason why I've used 6.34% as an example because when I go to a Commonwealth Bank repayment calculator online, this is their first percentage that I can see, and this can also help validate if this calculation makes sense. Repayment. So for this repayment, I'm gonna leave it blank for now. And how mortgage work is mortgage repayment usually is by month, and let's drag this down 30 years loan term by pressing Control button and also clicking down at the bottom right hand corner when the cross is solid black. Drag it all the way down to 360, that is 30 years loan term, and Excel will generate this series for you. The first column will be the beginning of month, and the second one will be interest in percentage. Let's call the one as interest, and the fourth one as repayment, and the final column as end of month. Make this a little bit more neater. So at the beginning of the first month, your borrowing amount will be basically how much you've borrowed, and percentage wise it will equal to the interest rate, annual interest rate divided by 12 because it's monthly. Notice I've pressed F4 to lock this button down, to lock this cell of the interest rate, because I'll eventually will need to drag this all the way down so that you wouldn't want Excel to look at another cell, but I am locking it into the cell so that even when I drag it, Excel won't shift the cell reference. Interest will be the principal multiplied by your interest in percentage. So the first month you will be paying $5,200 in interest. The repayment, once again, you're referring to the cell, and make sure you press F4 to lock this in. And the end of month is basically your beginning of the month plus your interest minus repayment. And note that you start, because we have a repayment amount of 0 at the end of the month, you end up owing more than the beginning of the month because you have not paid anything down. And to pay this amount lower than this, obviously you have to pay an amount more than the interest. So you'll put, let's say, put $5,500 a year. So you can see that the first month you pay this amount of interest, you repaid $5,500. At the end of the month you owe this much. That is how the mortgage works in the first month. And in the second month, the beginning of the month balance obviously equal to your previous month end of month balance, and your interest, all of these calculations will remain the same. So you highlight all of this, go to the bottom right hand corner when the crosses become solid black, and drag this down. And you can see that at the end of the second month, this is how the mortgage works. And now you want to elaborate this, highlight all of this cell here, and double click the bottom right hand corner. Excel will then apply all of this calculation all the way to the end of the 30 years loan term. So if we drag all the way down, we can see that with the repayment amount of $5,500 at the end of the 30 years, you still owe the bank $767,000. So obviously the repayment of $5,500 don't cut the cheese. So instead of us just manually trying what is the repayment amount is, Excel have this function of solver. So if we use the solver function, and if you're not familiar with Excel, solver is inbuilt within Excel on most of the versions. And all you need to do, just Google or with some YouTube video, you will find out how to add this solver button here. I'll cut it short for this video, so let's just go to solver. I realize that you actually don't see this pop up here because this is like the third time of me creating this video, but you will see this set objective, and you're setting the objective at the end of the 30-year loan term, which is this 767. You want this to be 0 because at the end of the 30 years loan term you're supposed to pay this off. So you want to set this cell here to the value of 0 by changing the variable cell, which is your repayment amount, because that's what's changing. You will want to change this repayment cell by changing the repayment cell to achieve that 0 at the end of the 30 years loan term. Go ahead and click solve, and then keep the solver solution and click OK. So you can see that now at the end of the 30-year loan term, you hit a number very close to 0. In fact, less than 0 because it's e to the negative 0.8. But let's not go into mathematical what e stands for. But this is basically, it means 0. And you will see that the repayment amount is $6,215. If you round this up, it will be $6,216. So the reason that I've used this example is if you go in online, go to Commonwealth Bank repayment calculator, type in a loan amount of $1 million. I think that's the first example, which will be the 6.34% that they have available. You can see that this calculation of repayment amount is very close to the amount that is going to be displayed in that calculator. So this is basically what is the calculation behind the scene, behind the calculation of that online calculator that you see. And this is not 100% exact because I don't know the actual calculation behind it, but this will be a very good estimation of how mortgages calculation usually works. So mind you, all of this information that I'm sharing, this is my opinion and my way of calculating it. I have no guarantee that it is 100% accurate. So please use this information carefully, because I'm not a financial advisor. With that set aside, I just wanted to, now that we've given this calculation a breakdown of how much interest, there's a couple of points that I really wanted to make. So one of the important points is you can see that at the beginning the interest is $5,283. You pay $6,200. Paying $6,200 and $5,200 is interest to the bank. So only $1,000 out of this $6,000 is actually yours. Think of it this way, it is really big chunk of money that you're paying to the bank that you're not aware of. And that is why in the first couple of videos I've been saying that mortgages come with a cost, a really big cost. And if you put this exact example into the Commonwealth Bank calculator, you can see that by borrowing $1 million, you're paying back the bank $1.2 million extra in interest. You're paying more than double. So please think of it, mortgage is not free, it's a vehicle, but it comes with a huge cost. So if we change, let's say, the repayment amount by just $100 to like 6315, which is $100 more. If you drag it all the way down, you can actually see that you're now paying off the loan about 16 months earlier, which is 1 year and a third earlier. So with just $100 extra repayment per month, you're paying the loan 1 year earlier. That's a long time, 1 year. And now let's go back to a step, change it back so that it is going back to 0. And now let's talk about interest rate changes. Sometimes, most of the time, when the government changes, like 0.1% interest rate cut, 0.2% interest rate cut, or 0.1% increase, 0.1%, 0.2% increase, you would think that is, so what's the big deal of 0.1% and 0.2% difference? But let's say if the interest rate go up by 0.25%, which is what people say 25 basis point, then this figure will be 6.59. And now if you drag it all the way down, with that 0.25% difference, sorry about my phone, you can see that at the end of the 30 years loan term, now you still owe the bank $185,000 with just 25 basis point increase difference. It was zero before with the interest rate of 6.34, but now with a 0.25% increase, you have $185,000 outstanding to the bank at the end of the 30-year loan term if your repayment remains unchanged, the same as the 6.34%. So this is what I wanted to illustrate, the importance of interest rate changes on how all of this is calculated, and hopefully by breaking this down step by step, that you will be able to tweak the figures on your own, starting to understand a little bit more how this actually works. And hopefully this information helps you out. And if you like what I'm talking about here, please like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment down below to let me know how I went, and if you want me to talk about any other topics. And this is it. Thank you for coming back to my channel. Your Asian buddy is signing off. Bye bye.